Hello everybody, welcome back to Origins. Dragon's Demize is here, providing continuous coverage. Today, we have an interview with Ben Krieger and Josh Paugh from Paw-Warrior Games. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So Paw-Warrior Games, they have two games out. You've got Ambyria over here, it's a very fancy cover. A card-based competitive game which sort of has a constantly evolving environment. And then their newest one, Ogre Cheerleaders, is a lot of fun. I actually picked this up yesterday myself. I likened it to Gin Rummy, and sort of a quick card game, numbers based with a couple abilities. So today we're going to be doing the Jenga interview format, and we've got blue, which is going to be questions about your games, red, which is going to be questions about your time in the industry, and then green, which is going to be wilds. So if you guys want to get started, let's do it.
Want me to go first?
Sure.
All right.
All right.
Let's go blue. Do I hand it to you?
Put it right on top. Standard Jenga rules. Okay. A question about your games. Ogre Cheerleader, Ambyria, both card-based games. So when you were approaching the design of these games, were you coming at it from a standpoint of, we know we want to do cards, and then sort of found a different expression for that? Or was it a completely different design process each time?
Yeah, it was kind of different for both. Ambyria kind of happened sort of by accident, where we just decided to make a game for fun without any expectation for it.
I hear that's a good way to do things.
Yeah. And we just started with literal decks of playing cards. And we started writing a whole bunch of things on paper. Ace will do this, King will do this. And it kind of just really snowballed from there. And then once we started playing it, we decided it was too much fun to not make it a real thing.
Okay, all right. And then with Ogre Cheerleaders, how did that sort of come about?
So with the Ogre Cheerleaders, that one came about as the very specific mechanic that goes along with it.
Okay.
The kind of idea that you're playing your ogres onto the field and you're rearranging them and you're trying to make these different formations. And that was a very mechanic-driven process.
Okay.
It started out with that very basic mechanic. It wasn't even themed as ogres or anything from the beginning.
Sure, sure.
The Ogre Cheerleader kind of evolved out of it. But
well,
yeah,
it's a fun theme.
Yeah. That mechanic just came from trying to find a fun way to have this dynamic shifting thing that you're trying to do.
Sure, sure. Do you guys want to go two in a row, or you want me to take a block?
I want to go next.
All
I've
right,
been
let's
eyeing
do it.
this red one, and I think I can get it. Just had coffee, so I'm like a little excited for
jittery.
Jenga.
Hey, man, everybody gets excited for Jenga.
All right.
All right, right
Do
on
I
top.
have to put it next to this one? Is that how that works?
It just has to be on the same row.
All right.
And there you go, you got it. So,
Perfect.
you guys are partners in the business, Paw-Warrior. How did you guys meet? How did you get involved in the gaming industry?
Yeah, so we met in undergrad at SUNY New Paltz, and we didn't start doing gaming until a couple years later. And it started with Ambyria. It started with that sort of accidental, let's make a card game, and then combining a bunch of fun mechanics that came together really well.
Sure.
We went to a game convention nearby, learned about how you make card games, and talked to some designers, talked to some publishers about how it's done. We really wanted to publish it ourselves and get that experience as well. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of went from there.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take one here. I want to get a green. I want to get goofy. All right, here we go. All right. So, what is the craziest thing you guys have seen so far at Origins?
Oh.
I mean, it's only day 2.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think?
So this is our first time at Origins.
Okay.
I win.
Me too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The convention hall is dripping on our booth.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yes.
remember that from yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a new experience. Water is raining down from us from the sky.
Rain indoors on a board game. Yeah, no, I can't imagine that's very fun.
Yeah, we just shifted our table forward.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't rain on too many people.
Yeah,
But-
well, hopefully not. Another brick.
All right, let's go with this.
Don't knock it.
Red one. This is precarious.
It is. Uh-oh. Getting a little twisty there. So one of the things that you guys mentioned that you do is self-publish and sort of working through that process. It's a different process than a lot of newer game studios. What's that been like for you? Has it been worthwhile? Has there been a sort of a journey of self-discovery? What's it been like?
It's definitely been a lot of effort on that front.
Sure.
So what we're trying to do is our main goal is to feel like we're making games that are unique and that the mechanics are very different from things that other people might have played. And with the card games that we've been doing, we can effectively self-publish those at a somewhat cost-effective way.
Sure.
But what we're actually trying to do is we're starting to branch off a little bit and continue to self-publish some games from our end that are easier for us to do. Okay. And we actually have some other projects that are in development that we're pitching to other publishers that we really, really love, but don't really have the capacity to do with a lot of board and pieces and stuff like that.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, and just to weigh in on the experience of self-publishing, there's so much you can manage through, putting in time and effort and working hard. And then there's some things that are just like, almost like playing the lottery. Like,
sure.
You come to a convention, you don't know what you're going to find. Some guys come over wearing chef hats, and all of a sudden you're doing a Jenga interview. So,
yeah.
Some things that you don't have any control over, you don't know what's going to happen.
We like to keep things crazy, keep you on your toes.
That's a good thing.
Good. Well, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the interview so far.
Right. So you just did red. I'm going to go for blue this time.
Go for blue, okay. But which one?
Trying to do everything the opposite of what you
keep it balanced. Yeah, that's a good strategy.
All right. If I were a cat, I'd be really good at this.
You're knocking that block over.
Oh.
I'm more like an ogre, though.
Okay, yeah, there you go. You guys got it. So with Ogre Cheerleaders, you've got this mechanic where you're playing cheerleaders into sort of the formation, which is out in the center, and it's a horizontal line. You've got rows of ogres that are numbered, and if you collect sets, whether that's match by number, match by suit, they clear. And if you clear the entire formation, you get a bonus. You get to take all of those cards, but you also get to flip over a new formation and take another turn. Was that something that came up in development? Because it seems extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Was it something you had to workshop and make sure it wasn't too powerful?
So the initial design was that if you cleared the field, it was the end of your turn, but it seemed like that was an achievement and you should be rewarded for that. So it was a second evolution. The third evolution was adding the symbols so that you could match on more things based more than just the number.
Sure, okay.
And that really added the extra dimension we were looking for. So that, along with the bonus play, gives you that sort of risk reward, like I'm working for what I'm earning kind of gameplay feel.
Okay. And it was also to help with before you got that bonus play, if you cleared the whole field and then the next person got 4 new cards to come out, they have a really good chance of getting some good points.
Right.
So it almost seemed like a disadvantage to clear the field when it seems like that's a really awesome thing.
Yeah, because you don't want to, you don't want to give advantages to your opponent.
Yeah. So that it kind of evolved out of that.
Yeah, the thing that makes Ogre Cheerleaders a little bit competitive is making a bad field for your opponent to play to.
Right, yeah, because you do have a lot of ability to control, which end you place on and sort of which sets you take if you have multiple. So yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to go with another blue. I'm going to keep on
go
with
for the
this
easy
game track.
fruit.
I mean, if it's right there.
See how you operate.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit and talk about Ambyria. So Ambyria is a card game. You play cards into, again, sort of a field, and they take an effect, and you sort of are attempting to accumulate points. But the way that you accumulate points is that you play cards into your field, and then once your field is full, you collect those, and they give you a points value that appears on the card. That seems really unique to me, just sort of the fact that it's not immediately play and score the points, neither is it playing cards for points that are off sides. How did you guys come up with this really cool mechanic?
Well, our original goal, the very first thing we decided when we were making Ambyria, we said the objective is going to be to get stuff.
Okay.
And then that snowballed from there. And then we tried to think of, well, how are you going to get this stuff? Right. In a lot of ways, or in a lot of games, like you said, it's you play the card and you get the stuff right away. And one of the best things about Ambyria is it's a very emotional game. There's a lot of build-up. So you might play a 15-point card into your Emberscape, but you have to let that survive until your Emberscape is full before you actually get it.
Right.
So there's a lot of risk-reward going on there. So the higher point cards do great things for you, and they have some cool effects, but you need to be careful.
They're vulnerable.
Yeah, you don't want to let your opponent get them.
Yeah.
So a lot of the mechanics in Ambyria evolved out of that. I want to play cards, but then I have to make sure I score those cards.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So that enabled us to do lasting effects that are only active as long as they're out there, and then they're not. There's a natural limit built in because either your opponent's going to take them, destroy them, whatever, or you're going to score them and they'll be gone.
Right.
Because those are high point cards. You want to score them, but you also want to use their ability to your advantage while they're out there.
Right. There's a tension there,
Yeah,
and it sort of builds some of that complexity strategically.
And the other thing that makes Ambyria really unique is that there's this mode mechanic, so each card has a dual purpose, so you can use it.
Getting into my next question. Damn, I got to come up with a new one now.
You know what? We'll hold off then.
Okay, all right. Just pull another blue block.
All right.
All right.
And it's you guys.
This blue block, it seems pretty easy, so I'm going to go ahead and take that.
So mode cards. No. So one of the sort of very important mechanics is that you have a mode section on your playmat in your area, and each card has a symbol on it that denotes a particular mode. So you might have protect mode, hasty mode, and each of those is going to do different things. How did you come up with this, and sort of in what way did you find that it changed the trajectory of the game, being able to really adjust not just what it is that you're doing, but some of how the core rules affect you throughout the course of the game organically?
So that was one of the first things that we actually got, and that came from using the deck of playing cards. We got 4 suits. Those were our 4 modes.
Okay.
And that was right away. We said, well, playing the 7 does some effect, but then because it's hearts, it also can do something else.
Okay.
And one of the cool things is that the cards can be used in multiple ways. But you have to be careful which way you're using them. It's always a trade-off. If you use it for your mode, you don't get the effect. If you want the effect, you don't get the mode.
Yeah.
And because of that, even though it's a very simplistic mechanic, with so many different ways to use the cards, there's always new things that I see happening that I've never seen before. And that helps keep Ambyria fresh. I mean, we've been, 3 or 4 years now?
Yeah, February 2014.
And we are not tired of Ambyria yet. We go home from the convention and we play more Ambyria. And sometimes I see someone play a move that I've never seen before. And I feel like that's really fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like that's really great when you have that sort of, replayability almost. Just sort of you have these core mechanics, but you can find so many different ways to play through them.
And just a thing for the game designers out there is, Josh and I were sitting, being like, well, what's our game going to do? We had decided that we're going to get stuff. We said, you'll play a card, it'll do something. And then Josh says, each suit will do something different. You'll put it in a separate area, and it'll have an effect while it's there. And I was like, that's really dumb. That'll never work. And then I kept my mouth shut, and it worked out perfectly.
Yep. Trust your co-designers.
Yeah. So work with your co-designer. That's my
Important
message.
safety tip.
Important safety tip. All right, I'm gonna go for a green this time.
Okay.
Am I allowed to go to the top?
Yeah, you can take from anywhere you want. If you can pull it off.
If I can pull it off the top.
Hey, there we go. Okay. So you guys are obviously game designers. You've got a couple games out in the field. But what is your favorite game that you did not design?
Oh, well, that's not a fair question.
Is it not?
Ambyria is my favorite game.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I got to put that restriction on there.
Favorite game that I did not design. Smirk and Laughter just made Nuts So Fast.
Okay.
And that's super fun. I just bought a copy yesterday.
That sounds very dirty.
It's actually not.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
it's about literal nuts.
Okay, we're safe. YouTube won't demonetize
Yeah, don't
us.
Google it at work though.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring it to my game group and see if everybody make everybody laugh. And it's a speed game where you try and get nuts before everybody else does, but not so fast.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, in the industry, we play so many indie games that
Sure.
a lot of people haven't heard of. And every once in a while, you kind of play a new one from someone. It's really fun. I think one of my most favorite recent games is the Bees one.
Yeah.
The Bees one.
Yeah, Bees. It's got a lot of E's in the title.
Indie boards and cards.
Indie boards and cards. Yeah, that's a really fun
Bees.
game. It's like a real-time
Bees.
speed game where you're trying to roll dice and match tiles and add those to your hive in certain ways. It's a fast-paced, really fun game.
Okay. All right, I'm sensing a theme. Fast paced, fast paced.
Yeah.
All right, I dig that. Let's go. I'm gonna get this triple red out of here. No, I'm not.
Nope.
I'm not gonna do that. Okay, there we go. And it's interesting because it tilts to the side sometimes, so the side ones are easier than some of the middle blocks. Whew. All right. So one of the things that you guys mentioned is that you've been working with other designers. You're sort of starting to branch out and sort of pitch your games other places, maybe work with some other people. And one of the things that we've heard from some of the people that we've talked to has been that the industry is extremely supportive. Is that something that you guys have experienced, that you've had a lot of encouragement, that you've had a lot of interest from other folks in the space?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to the very first convention we went to when we started making Ambyria, and we had no idea what to do. And we said, all right, well, let's go talk to some people who do this.
Right.
So we went to DexCon
Okay.
in New Jersey. And everybody we talked to was so happy to sit down and tell us about their experience and give us some advice. Very welcoming community.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. In addition to that, we are now trying. So we published Ambyria. We published Ogre Cheerleaders. Published the expansion to Ambyria.
Right.
And we're working on publishing another game. But we also have a design that we're trying to pitch to other publishers. So now we're working with the industry in another way, where we were working as a publisher now and designer. Now we're working as a designer, talking to publishers.
So right. So it's a little bit of a
new
different,
facet,
different relationship.
Kind of like applying for jobs.
It kind of is.
Okay, well that sounds extremely unpleasant, but I'm glad that it's going well for you guys.
Thank you.
All right, that was me.
This block looks pretty good down here.
Stable.
Blue.
Okay, blue, talking about the games, let's go back to Ogre Cheerleader. So each of the cards has a number. You've got 1 through 10, and like I mentioned, that's very important for set collection. But each of them also has an ability. And when I was demoing this the other day, I sort of commented on the fact that the abilities seem varied. It's not, strictly the 1 ability is strictly better than the 10 ability because it's a lower point value, or vice versa because the 10 is maybe more valuable and you want to keep it. So I think that's great to see. And was that something that you guys consciously decided to do, was work towards sort of balancing all of these abilities?
Yeah, it kind of comes from the idea that the higher point value cards should be a little bit harder to score.
Sure.
So that 10, for example, since it benches the card next to it, it's really hard to play a 10 and get it next to another 10.
Right.
And Ogre Cheerleaders is one of those games that on the surface it looks super simple, and all you do is just play a card and do some stuff, but it's deceptively got a little bit of cool strategy in there.
Yeah, there's definitely some, okay, I gotta think 3 turns ahead, what's gonna affect this and cause it to shift.
And then after your next turn, that all gets blown away anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's there's strategic elements to it, but it's
Right.
not meant to be taken too seriously.
It's
Yeah.
Ogre Cheerleaders. Yeah.
All right, my turn.
Your turn?
You just pulled a blue. I want to
I
pull a
did.
different color.
Okay. Change it up.
I'm not too confident in my abilities right now.
Let's see, maybe next row up. Get that red one on the side.
Oh,
There you go. All right.
you're an experienced Jenga player. All right, what do you got for me?
So you guys mentioned that you met in undergrad and started designing games together. What's sort of your background? How long have you guys been gaming? What would you say was the thing that got you into the scene?
Well, playing games is fun. That helps.
Right, absolutely.
We played games with our families, like growing up, and we play with our game groups at work, and
Sure.
and so on
Wait.
and so forth.
You have game groups at work?
Oh, for sure.
That's amazing.
Coworker, I'm a software engineer, and software engineers in gaming. It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I got to be a software engineer now, is what I'm hearing. That's okay.
Yeah. Work work at a tech company, and after work you just stay a little late and play a couple games.
That sounds awesome.
My last company is once a week. We do once a month. It's a bigger thing. We get food and beer.
Sure.
Even the salespeople come over.
That's awesome.
And it's like peanut butter jelly and cabbage. It's weird.
Yeah, I could see how that'd be weird, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we have game groups at work, or at my jobs. I had to put this one together because everyone else was not carrying the torch.
Right.
Anyway, so getting that experience playing a lot of other games, influences for me have been like Ascension, with the theme of getting stuff.
Right.
Smash Up with the theme of playing a card and doing something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how
you got into
my
it?
journey with it has been. Yeah.
And what about you, Chuck?
So game design has been just a hobby of mine for maybe the past 15 years or so, just
Okay.
really casually. Maybe if a friend's birthday was coming up, I would make a themed board game for their birthday, or
So you've been
something
doing it,
like that.
doing it for a long time.
He made me a game called Bamboozled.
Okay.
It was a roll and move game, and you had to do wacky things. It was based off of the friend's Bamboozled.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
You climb the ladder, pull the monkey tail,
Yeah.
and then the golden monkey hut, and you get the star, and you win.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's always just been something that was kind of fun to do, not in a serious way.
Right.
And then Ambyria was just, I think having a partner to work with makes it seem like a feasible thing
Yeah.
to actually do.
Yeah, you really get to work off of each other and make sure everything's getting done. And if someone's feeling lazy that week, someone else is there to pick up the slack. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Working as a team.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, let's get in here. I'm gonna go for a blue. So I've got a question I want to ask you guys about Ambyria.
Awesome.
So I would describe Ambyria as sort of a battle card game. You're wanting to score your own points, but you're also affecting your opponents. And one of the ways that you do that is really unique because there are lots of different collection mechanics. You can steal your opponent's cards from their hand, from their Emberscape, from their deck. How did you guys come up with that? Because I know, you have lots of battle card games where you're destroying your opponent's stuff, but actually taking it, and not just in a one-off capacity, but like that's a major sub-theme of the game, isn't something that you see a lot.
So that was really tough when it came to balancing because
Right.
you can't take too much stuff because then your opponent has nothing left to take. And you need to make sure your opponent can take enough of your stuff that they can counteract what you're doing. And then you want to make sure that there's more stuff going on so you're not just taking each other's stuff back and forth and you
Right.
reach a neutral sort of
Yeah, because that would be
playing field.
boring and
that
no
would be
fun for
boring.
anyone.
Right, so having all the different areas allows for different kinds of powers. So you have your area that you're going to build up and score, so taking from that is very powerful.
Yeah.
Taking from someone's deck may be a little less powerful because they're still going to be able to score those points. So it allows for a lot of different ways to interact with your opponents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I like, my friend Greg has a very good description
Thank
of
you.
Ambyria. Oh, your name is Greg. My other friend Greg.
There you go.
He calls Ambyria a game of treachery,
Okay,
which
I
I
could
think
see
is
that.
a very apt description.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
And my favorite card in Ambyria, I think, really helps to work towards that is the Magician's Tactic.
Okay.
It's the card that when you play it, you take another card from your hand and you put it face down rather
Okay.
than just play it. So it essentially lets you turn literally any card in the game into an interrupt effect.
That does seem pretty powerful. Yeah.
And everybody has them, so everybody gets to use them, but there's so many different things you can do with it.
Right.
You can be a little bit defensive. If you know someone's going to get you, you might put a Deceptive Trader down there so you can instantly switch modes with somebody.
Right.
Or maybe put something that you could activate and steal something from someone right before they collect.
Just versatility.
Yeah, so it's a treacherous game because you never know what your opponent is trying to do to you. There's so many different things that can happen. You have to kind of think and prepare for what you think is going to happen.
I mean, that's sort of the hallmark of a great game, right? It requires you to think.
Yeah. And that when we came up with the Magician's Tactic, it was like an oh boy kind of moment. Like, this is
It took it to the next level.
Right.
new level.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've got time for one more extremely quick question.
All
I
right.
say make it a green if you want to push one out and knock over the tower. Hey!
Ah.
Oh, we'll pick that up later. So, what is your favorite donut?
Glazed.
Glazed,
donut.
plain glazed.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
don't like the filling. It gets everywhere.
Respect the classic.
Yeah.
So there's a really good bakery in Brooklyn near where we work that my friend Bruce will bring donuts in sometimes. I have no idea what the place is called, but there's a really good peanut butter and jelly donut.
All right, glazed donut, PB&J from Brooklyn. Ben Krieger, Josh Paugh,
Ambyria.
Ambyria, Ogre
Cheerleaders.
Cheerleaders. Thank you guys so much, Paw-Warrior, for
thank
joining
you.
us on
Yeah,
the Jenga
thank you.
interview. And thank you all for tuning in.